The Great Discovery, Murdo MacDonald-Bayne. Most people become complicated in their superficial beliefs, beliefs in this and that, beliefs in dogma, belief in systems. All these are superficial and lead only to chaos. Before one can grasp what I am speaking to you about, you must unburden your minds of all these things. There is no other way. To make the great discovery, you must do this yourselves. I cannot do it for you, although I may show you the way. You must not twist what I say to you to suit your beliefs, your fears, your creeds. You cannot distort the truth to suit your own ends. Truth is so immense it cannot be abased. The truth is the self that is in all other selves, and on it all things depend, and from which all transformation arises. That self is in everyone, and you must look to that self and put everything else aside. Then you will find the core of all things. If that self is perverted, fearful, burdened, anxious, all your creations will bear the stamp of your fears. The care and realization of this self is more important than anything else, because the self creates everything else. It creates either beauty or ugliness. It creates either sorrow or everlasting happiness. It is also the creator of illusions, thereby creating pain, suffering, or rejoicing. If the self is without true understanding, then there is self-expression without meaning. If you are concerned only with things which are but the expression of the self, if your happiness is dependent upon things, you are bound to have sorrow and conflict, and you are lost in chaos. To lead you into a better understanding of the self, I will repeat to you this saying of the Master: Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one Lord. You must love the Lord thy God with your whole heart, with your whole soul, with your whole mind, and with your whole strength. The second one is, you must love your neighbor as yourself. There are no other commandments greater than these. Here he tells us how to translate the truth into our daily living. He also shows that the truth is above law, because it is the seed of everything, and from it all transformation arises. The fulfilling of this commandment brings about perfect poise of the self, which is true creation, and that you must care for that self that abides in everyone. This is the great individuality of the universal self. The same is individualized in you and me. This is the realm which is limitless, boundless. There is no one path, no one guide, for it itself is all guides and all paths. You can only approach it when your eyes are not blinded by tradition, by law, by convention, imposed by society, by religion, or by fear. The universal is impersonal in nature, all abides in the universal, and the universal abides in all, and by this power we all think. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It is the vehicle for expression as well as the cause of expression. The universal is behind every created thing, every movement seen and unseen, above and below. The most unsuspected happens because man does not realize that the universal will create for the individual just as he thinks. It will create a negative condition as well as a positive. Our attitude then must be one of understanding, not fear nor limitation. The next point I want to make clear to you is that the universal is harmony, and when this is really seen by the individual, all fear dissolves away. The individual no longer struggles to create harmony when this is understood. Harmony is the foundation of the universe and is ever present. It will be seen that our various mental states, emotions, and fears have their effect upon our mind and body, and circumstances producing their own peculiar kind of trouble. We are connected through the self with every other self, and the only way to obtain true harmony is to obey the commandment of the Master, to love God and love your neighbor. Everyone knows how hate, anger, and jealousy cause inharmonious changes in the body through chemicalization, and everyone knows that harmony of thought and mind excites the healthy flow of all the secretions in the body and opens the channels so that the life force surges through the organism to replenish and renew the whole body. When the recognition of the true meaning of life is in the mind, the body responds, because the body is also mental substance that responds to vibrations. Your thoughts are in the inner world and the effects are in the outer. The reason for this is that the physical organism is the mechanism especially adapted for the transmission of the inner or mental action into modes of external activity. Whatever activity is created within, so it must come to the outer. This is a truth that all have experienced, but few have sense enough to discern it. With further reference to the body, which many are so much concerned with, we see that it is traversed by a network of nerves that serve as channels of communication between the indwelling self and the functions of the external organism. This is the temple of the living God that is built without hands. When we care for the self which is in all, through understanding, harmony is established in the self. Thought is the one mode of action throughout the universe. All forms are the result of thought. We must realize day by day that we live, move and have our being in Him, the universal self who created us in His own image and likeness. We must know that we create by thought from a source that is unlimited and that only we ourselves create the limitation. The great self in us all is constantly seeking to make itself perfect in us and thereby eternal and free. But if you are ignorantly concerned with the outer, then you will never understand the self. If you are constantly taken up with the shadows cast by the self, you will never realize what creates the shadows, for this alone can transform all shadows. Once you discern that the shadows are of your own making, you will begin to realize that which can retransform them. You will see that this is the only thing that matters. You must seek the heart of all things, then you will not burden yourselves with the effects. It is this that everyone must concern him or herself with. The Creator is the thinker, the thought is the invisible nature of the form that manifests. These three are one, therefore all transformation lies in the understanding of the self. Jesus gave us the key when He said, "The kingdom of heaven is within you." Heaven was the state of harmony, the innermost spiritual, and the outer world will appear as the inner when we realize the source of our thinking. His words again, "The inner shall become the outer and the outer shall become the inner," showing that both eternally subsist in the one in perfect unity. The nervous system outpictures our thoughts. We produce in the body the exact replica of the dominating thought we hold. Therefore we see that the self alone gives power to any idea in the mind that may arise in reaction to the external. The self alone has the power to transform all things. The outer self is but the reflection of the inner self, just as the inner self is the reflection of the universal self. If this understanding is lacking, the vicious circle is set in motion and we live in secondary causes, not understanding their origin. When we deeply discern what the cause of our condition is within ourselves, and the dissolving action is also within ourselves, we are no longer affected by suggestion one way or another. We shall free ourselves by the truth that we are made in His image and likened, that all power has been given unto us in heaven and on earth. Mental analysis is death, awareness is life. Mental analysis deals with the past and the future, awareness deals with the present always. This is the great discovery, the truth that sets you free. Benediction. O Eternal and Only One, I was lost in the wilderness of wrong beliefs and could not find my home in Thee. I always kept the door of my soul open, expecting Thee to come from some external world. At last I have found Thee arising out of the darkness of my soul to become the star of my groping mind, calling me to recognize my home in Thee, and there I found that we are one, O adorable and perfect love. My peace and my love remain with You. Yours sincerely, 𝗦 MacDonald-Bayne.